As silly as it can sometimes get, I'm a dedicated Doctor Who fan. I'm kind of late to the game. I only watched my first ever episode 6 years ago, but since then I've gone at it with the fanaticism of a convert. The best of the series tackles some pretty deep stuff. For example, the ugly side of tribalism in the episode Midnight, the terrible cost of self-sacrifice in Silence in the Library, the butterfly effect in Turn Left, the fact that you can't both play God and avoid responsibility in the waters of Mars, and the acknowledgement that some tragedies are unavoidable in the fires of Pompeii. Plus, the series came up with one of the most terrifying, pants-wettingly scary villains ever in the Weeping Angels in the episode Blink, which happened to be the first episode I ever watched. So given all that, I suppose it shouldn't have been a surprise when the series got a mention in Scientific American. It came up in an article by Caleb Scharf called The Galactic Archipelago, which was looking at the probability of intelligent life out in the universe, which is very high, and also, if there is intelligent life, why haven't we been contacted? Something that's called Fermi's paradox. There's an answer to this question that you might have heard about. It's rather depressing. It's called the Great Filter, and it's the idea that life, once it reaches the intelligent stage, is very likely to destroy itself. So in the universe, there may well have been many intelligent societies, but they're mostly gone. It's still a bit of a puzzle, though, given that the aliens wouldn't actually have to come here personally. Extraterrestrials paying a house call has long been considered unlikely because of the vastness of space and the difficulty of fast travel, despite what the amazingly coiffed Giorgio Tsoukalos would have you believe. Scharf points out that what an intelligent alien species would probably do first is develop self-replicating robot drones, which would be instructed to go out and actually make more copies of themselves using raw materials they find, and would be programmed to avoid dangers and send back messages. Because they could reproduce, you'd think that all it would take is 5 or 6 alien civilizations coming up with something like this before alien drones would kind of be everywhere, and that hasn't happened either. Scharf tells us that there's another option besides the rather dismal Great Filter concept. He calls it the Silurian Hypothesis, and this is where Doctor Who comes in, because as any good Whovian could tell you, the Silurians are a race of intelligent reptilians who lived a very long time ago. But long before humans were on the scene, they mostly went extinct except for a few scattered populations that lived deep in caves. Well, a few years ago, a couple of astronomers named Gavin Schmidt and Adam Frank of NASA and the University of Rochester, respectively, considered the idea of whether there could have been an intelligent society millions and millions of years ago, and if so, what traces would we see of them in the modern world? And what Schmidt and Frank concluded is if there had been an intelligent, technology-using, city-building, highly complex civilization, say 50 million years ago, it's very likely that the traces we'd find here now are nothing. Scharf writes, astrophysicist Michael Hart's original fact was that there is no evidence here on Earth today of extraterrestrial explorers. Perhaps long, long ago aliens came and went. A number of scientists have over the years discussed the possibility of looking for artifacts that might have been left behind after such visitations of our solar system. The necessary scope of a complete search is hard to predict, but the situation on Earth alone turns out to be more manageable. In 2018, another of my colleagues, Gavin Schmidt of NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies, along with Adam Frank, produced a critical assessment of whether we could even tell if there had been an earlier industrial civilization on our planet. As fantastic as it may seem, Schmidt and Frank argue, as do most planetary scientists, that it is actually very easy for time to erase essentially all signs of technological life on Earth. The only real evidence after 1 million or more years would boil down to isotopic or chemical stratigraphic anomalies, odd features such as synthetic molecules, plastics, or radioactive fallout. Fossil remains and other paleontological markers are so rare and so contingent on special conditions that they may not tell us anything in this case. Indeed, modern human urbanization covers only on order of about 1% of the planetary surface, providing a very small target area for any paleontologists in the distant future. Schmidt and Frank also conclude that nobody has yet performed the necessary experiments to look exhaustively for such non-natural signatures on Earth. The bottom line is, if an industrial civilization on the scale of our own had existed a few million years ago, we might not know about it. That absolutely does not mean one existed. It only indicates that the possibility cannot be rigorously eliminated. It's a little humbling, isn't it? The idea that the far more than 7 wonders of the world that we've created with our technological society might be gone in a few million years. A little more cheering, of course, is that so will all the damage we're doing to the global ecosystem. It's not so surprising if you know a little bit of geology. The current configuration of the continents is only the most recent, and it won't be the last the Earth sees. Our puny efforts to change things probably won't last given all of the violent clashes and erosion and other natural processes that erase even the traces of major incidents like the formation of the Siberian traps that's thought to have given rise to the Permian-Triassic extinction 252 million years ago. Seems like entropy always wins in the end. The whole thing reminds me of one of the first poems I ever came across that had a real emotional impact on me. It's Percy Bysshe Shelley's devastating Ozymandias, which I ran across when I was a freshman in high school, and it seems like an appropriate way to end this video. I met a traveler from an antique land who said 2 vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read, which yet survive stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. And on the pedestal these words appear. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up. Our resources are down there, and please subscribe to our channel. Thank you.